Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here live on Facebook or on the website if you're watching us here, or if you're watching us on replay, we appreciate you tuning in. We are talking storm coverage today. So as you all know, we had some pretty heavy storms whip through our area here yesterday. Really all across the CSRA saw some form of rain, wind, and some sort of damage. So the National Weather Service is out today assessing some of that damage, and we've got crews out as well. So let's go ahead and bring in Nick Viland, Anthony Carpino, our first alert meteorologist out there on the ground. Nick is in Jefferson County right now, Anthony in Burke County. You can see behind them, both of them, some damage. Anthony's got some trees down there. Nick's got a whole building down there. Nick, we're going to go ahead and start with you. You're out in Jefferson County. What's going on out there today?
Yeah, well, behind me is Cornucopia Farms, and I'm just going to get behind the camera and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see just the damage the storm caused on this business. You can see the plastic just torn up through the railings of what is a farm. You know, towards the back you can see where those plants are basically right now just kind of hanging on by a thread with really nothing else to kind of cover it right now, just because of this storm. These winds just took this business and basically grabbed the plastic away. I stopped by another business as well with less damage. They're already done cleaning up. He said that it basically happens out in the open areas that Jefferson County is, with people being spread out, farmland and stuff like that, the high winds. You know, it happens often, so they're able to basically take what they learned in the past and basically this morning hit the ground running to really, you know, clean up that area. A neighbor right next door to where this is behind me, they're all fine over there. A few trees down, a trailer house in the back there did lift up, he said. He said his grandkids and a friend were in there as well, so it was a scary situation yesterday for them. But they were pretty much done cleaning up as well. Just a few trees down over there, but those heavy winds and big rain and big scary storm situation was definitely occurring in this area yesterday. And you can just kind of see the impact it has on this business and then the cleanup efforts that everyone else is having to go throughout this area.
Yeah, and you see behind there just the devastation to that business, but thankfully no reports of injuries there in Jefferson County, really across the CSRA. Very fortunate in that regard. You know, property can be replaced, people cannot. Nick, we appreciate the update there. Anthony, let's turn it over to you now out there in Burke County. That was a place that saw some real bad damage. They said they thought a tornado may have possibly touched down there. What are you seeing out there in Burke County right now?
Well, Nick, yeah, I just got out here. I'm right on the Burke County, Richmond County line, right here on Route 25. We do have some tree damage behind me. I'll step out of the way in just a second to show you guys that. But like you mentioned, the Weather Service is out and about today. They're going to continue to investigate all the damage and determine if it was straight line wind damage or if we did end up seeing a tornado that moved through the area yesterday. So that is going to be the question as survey crews are out and about and just looking at all the damage across the county. I'll step out of the way so everybody can see what I have kind of behind me here. So you can see, yeah, plenty of trees down, big pine trees that have actually just been kind of snapped right on top. One of the things that the Weather Service will end up looking for in this kind of situation is the direction of the trees. Are they going in one direction when they got snapped in half? Are they spinning at all? That kind of spinning will end up determining, do we have straight line wind damage or is it going to be more of a tornadic situation? So it's debris like this that ends up, you know, making the biggest impacts for those National Weather Service crews. So they're going to be out and about checking out all the damage across the area. I'll spin this around a little bit more if I can here. I do want to show you across the way. So I'm on one side of US 25 here. We'll keep kind of spinning this camera around a little bit so you can see Taylor's gas station, which actually, the way I have my kind of car set up, you may not be able to see, but they have that famous plane that sits right up there on that pedestal. And we got reports that that plane actually ended up spinning, shifted a little bit off its, not off its tracks, but got moved around a little bit because of those very steady winds that were going on yesterday. So again, the Weather Service is going to be out checking out some of that damage that they have been seeing today, and they're going to be checking out a little bit more as they continue their investigation, starting at one side of the county and kind of continuing to slide closer to the Savannah River, moving from west essentially to east, exactly how the storm moved yesterday, Nick.
Yeah, and Anthony, I wanted to touch on too, obviously we've got you in Burke County, we've got Nick in Jefferson County, but this is a storm system that we saw affect really the entire CSRA. We saw it in Sally, in Blackville, in Orangeburg, really all over. So, you know, and you were live a lot yesterday, you and Tim in the morning and early afternoon, talking about this damage. What were we seeing across the CSRA as a whole? Where was this activity, you know, affecting?
So this was a pretty, if you look at it as in a couple different perspectives, you can look at this as a heavy rain event. That was a more of effect for everybody. More or less 9 times out of 10, 9 out of every 10 people most likely saw at least heavy rainfall, definitely some thunder and lightning yesterday. When you increase that scale a little bit more, you talk about the wind damage to that. We had a nice couple bands of storms essentially that moved from west to east across the CSRA, and the way that they moved in a way that had a bow echo to it, which is like kind of just like a C, the letter C, if you will, that curve to it. Those are where we saw the greatest intensity of winds. And I do remember when Tim and I were live on the air, we were tracking these storms. We flipped our radar over to velocity, which just tells us how fast the storms are moving. And we were getting wind reports, just radar estimated, at least 55 to 60 miles per hour. Now, granted, that was a little bit higher into the air, but that still had the possibility of making its way down to the surface. And because we have no radar, direct radar here in Augusta, we have to use radars either in Atlanta or in Columbia. Now, those radars will end up hitting a little bit higher up into the air, but it's obvious by seeing the damage here that we did have some pretty intense winds also at the surface. Now the question again is that straight line wind damage, so winds moving in one direction, or is that tornadic where you had winds spinning around?
Right, and so gentlemen, I guess this one's here for both of you. What can we expect from you guys coming up later tonight? Anthony, I assume you're working on more of the technical, you know, weather side of things, and Nick, you're trying to talk to some neighbors. So what are you guys working on for this evening? I'll start with you, Nick.
More about these cleanup efforts throughout not only Jefferson County, but you know, the entire CSRA, how this has been impacting people throughout this area. And now the day after the cleanup efforts and how they are moving forward, I've been trying to get in contact with Cornucopia Farms, obviously, because they have seen a lot of, you know, devastation with, you know, their business. I've been reaching out, been talking to other businesses as well throughout the area that have damages, talking to neighbors as well to kind of get their insight on, you know, the day after a storm that really affected this area and now having to move forward for them.
And Anthony?
Yeah, so we're going to be going with the National Weather Service throughout the rest of this afternoon. I'm just going to meet up with them now. They look to be moving to the old Waynesboro Road area of Burke County, so we're going to hopefully be able to meet up with them, talk with the National Weather Service. What were they seeing on radar? What kind of stuck out for them and what they've seen on the ground today? So we're going to be talking more with them. Also, hopefully talk with some more folks that kind of been experienced some of that weather. They're also with the emergency management for Burke County, so hopefully we'll be able to talk with some of those folks as well.
Perfect. All right, gentlemen, Nick Viland in Jefferson County, First Alert Meteorologist Anthony Carpino right now in Burke County. We'll let you guys get back to it. I know you've got a lot of stuff to assess, a lot of people to talk to and get some more information for this evening. So we'll check in with you guys a little bit later, but for now, we'll let you get to it. That's going to do it for our little update here on the severe weather that we saw and assessing some of the damage that we are looking at across the CSRA. Again, this really hit not just Jefferson and Burke County like we saw Nick and Anthony talking about. This hit really all over the region. We saw it in Blackville, in Aiken County, in Sally, in I can't think of the other one I just had. Orangeburg, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. So this wasn't just an isolated storm. This was really all over the place. A lot of people impacted by this, and we'll have all that coming up for you later this evening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.